Next, it's that little old band from Texas, ZZ Top. Before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe. Please don't make me beg. Please, please, please don't make me beg. So if you watched my last video on Steely Dan, well, where they might be like a box of chocolates, you know what you're going to get with ZZ Top. ZZ Top was formed in 1969 after the precursor Moving Sidewalks disbanded. That was Billy Gibbons' original band before starting ZZ Top, and he actually opened for Jimi Hendrix, notably. I think they put out an album, but I've never heard it. Wikipedia describes the band's genre as blues rock, hard rock, boogie rock, southern rock, but you know, I always just call it Texas rock. I mean, it's got boogie woogie, it's got all the above, but yeah, it's Texas rock. They're a Texas band, and in fact, they spread Texas wherever they went. They had the typical rock and roll topics: girls, cars, girls, and, well, being cool. Billy Gibbons was the ringleader and guitarist extraordinaire. Dusty Hill played bass until he died in 2021, July 28th, I believe. And Elwood Francis, in a kind of an odd thing, Dusty was dying. He blessed this union and said, keep going with Elwood. Elwood happened to be his guitar tech, and I've never heard of that happening. Maybe somebody, maybe one of you viewers have been want to put it in the comments, but that's kind of unusual. And Frank Beard on the drums. Frank Beard is a very good drummer. He wasn't like, I've never heard him do a drum solo, but he could keep a beat. He didn't have the kind of job that John Bonham or Neil Peart had. He had, like I said, all above. They played rock and roll, and he's a very good drummer. Very good, let's just put it that way. So notably in the second half of their career, around after their hiatus, it was supposed to be a 90-day hiatus, and I think around 1980, and ended up being about a year and a half. But when they came back, Billy and Dusty, yes, they allow me to call them by their first names. They came back with nice long beards, and Frank Beard did not. So they just kind of kept it that way. I don't know if that was an agreement or they just thought it was as funny as we did. So, for me, ZZ Top is like one of my top bands, not because they're technically up there with Yes or Pink Floyd or Zeppelin or whatever, but because, I've seen them in concert, probably more than just about any band other than Blue Oyster Cult. But they are fun in concert. They are fun. They know you can watch them and you say, these guys are having the time of their life. And I tell you what, it doesn't matter what kind of music you're playing. If you can can convey that to an audience, you're a great performing band. I mean, there's great bands who are just in the studio, but to do a great performance, you got to make people realize that you're having as much fun as they are. So their first recording came out in 1971, called ZZ Top's first album. That one must have taken months to come up with that title. Highlights on this album are Somebody Else Been Shaking Your Tree, which was the only single released off that album, Brown Sugar, and Backdoor Love Affair. Out of those three, Brown Sugar is my favorite. It's still played in, or as of their last tourings, it was still one of their staples in concert. The album got a lukewarm reaction, but it did kind of establish their sound and the humor that was going to filter all the way through the career of these guys. Second album was called Rio Grande Mud, 1972. Couple of notable songs on that, Francine and Just Got Paid. Just Got Paid is definitely a staple in their live shows. Tres Hombres came out in 1973, and this one had quite a few very notable songs. Waiting on the Bus and Jesus Just Left Chicago. Now, these first two, they have to be played together. They just do. Don't worry about why. Just accept it. But otherwise, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, one of my, it's just a good party song. Master of Sparks and LaGrange. LaGrange, another one of those staples. 1975, Fandango. This was probably the first album I heard of theirs. A great friend of mine was a guitarist, and he loved country rock and blues and that kind of stuff. Got me into it. Fandango came out, like I said, in 1975. Side 1 was live, and Side 2 is studio. That's also an unusual thing. Not many bands do that. I know a couple. But a lot of songs on this one to listen to, if you, especially, like I said, the live stuff is Jailhouse Rock, Backdoor Medley, which is a 4-song medley. Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings is a fun song. Just, I mean, name like that, it's got to be fun. Blue Jean Blues, another staple. Definitely a slow blues song, a lot of fun. Balinese, a little more upbeat. Mexican Blackbird. This is one of their girl songs, sexy songs, and one that, well, I'll go ahead and say it now. There's a few songs, and I'll point them out, that somebody's going to be out there and say, oh, they couldn't make that today. Yes, they could. Yes, they could. That's what rock and roll was. They didn't worry about whether they would make $1 million that year or $20 million. Bands like this, they played what they wanted to play, and that's why people loved them. Anyway, Mexican Blackbird, heard it on the X. I'll explain just a little bit about that. I don't normally do history lessons, but the X was an over-the-border station for Mexico that would blast rock and roll or blues in this case across the American border, because the American FCC had limits on the amount of power that stations could put out, and the Mexicans didn't. So if they wanted to flood a market, that's the way they do it. So that's a song about that. And Tush, yeah, I guess you'd call that a sexy song too. After this concert, or after this album, they did a worldwide Texas tour from 76 to 77. It was huge success because it was a huge concert. It was a Texas-themed, elaborate sets, had livestock, cows and chickens, and it was just, had to have been really expensive. I would have loved to have seen it. I couldn't find any pictures. Maybe you can, but I'll look again. Maybe by the time I edit this, I'll find some. Tejas came out in 1976, and this was probably the second ZZ Top album I bought, and this was kind of a transition period. It marked the end of the old-style ZZ Top, going into the 80s, where they really transitioned to a more mainstream act and became one of the biggest acts in the 80s. Anyway, Tejas, I love this album. It's Only Love is really the only big single came out of it. Arrested for Driving While Blind is fun. It's a drinking song, so get over it. Enjoy and Get It On. Read into that one, you know what it means. Avalon Highway and Asleep in the Desert. Asleep in the Desert is probably my favorite song out of that album, though. It's a slow, very Texas desert feeling. I mean, the description is in the title, and it's very accurate. They also had a best of album in 1977, and in 1979, Deguelo, I Thank You, which is an old Isaac Hayes song. Remember him from South Park. She Loves My Automobile. See, told you they like cars. People like cars back in the day when they didn't all look the same. I'm Bad, I'm Nationwide, another staple, a very fun song. Fool for Your Stockings, Dust My Broom, it's an old Robert Johnson tune, and Cheap Sunglasses, another staple. 1981, they came out with El Loco. This is the first album that they actually used any synthesizers on, and it was kind of precursor. They started using them with great success in the next 3 albums. And by the way, about the 1980s, a lot of bands couldn't find a way to fit into the 80s. And ZZ Top defied all expectations by not only fitting into the 80s, but without losing their core audience, they gained audience. And that was very unusual at the time. And very glad they did. That's when I started seeing them in concert, was during the 80s. So anyway, back to the point, El Loco. Another couple of songs that definitely on the sexy side for you that are sensitive to sex. Tube Snake Boogie and Pearl Necklace. I always love that one. I just love the name of that one. Groovy Little Hippie Pad and Party on the Patio, both real fun songs. Like I said, this is a fun band. It's a fun band to listen to. And fun, whether it's in concert or just playing the albums at home, they're just fun. 1983, Eliminator came out. Now, this was their most successful album, 11 million albums sold and diamond status in the U.S. The album art for the next 3 albums, including this one, and the videos all featured Billy Gibbons' 1933 Ford Coupe, which had just been restored. It kind of defined the band. They had the car, this beautiful red hot rod, and the keychain, which came symbolic of the band as well, at least in the videos. So for this album, like I said, it was a big seller, a lot of hits. Give Me All Your Lovin', Got Me Under Pressure, Sharp Dressed Man, Legs, and TV Dinners. By the way, all these, I believe, had videos. So the videos at this time, I've complained about videos of the 80s. They were kind of pedantic and just silly and just poorly done in many cases. ZZ Tops were the exceptions. The premise may have been a little silly, and but the videos themselves were very good. The only reason I wouldn't suggest listening to the videos the first time or watching the videos the first time is really you do want to embrace the music. I don't know about for you, but for me, that is putting on headphones, closing your eyes and hearing it. But you listen to it the way you listen to it. 1985, Afterburner came out. I believe this was the first time I took my daughter to see ZZ Top. Both my kids saw ZZ Top when they were very young. Pretty sure this was the first one that she saw. But big hits are Sleeping Bag, Stages, Rough Boy, and Velcro Fly. Sleeping Bag, to me, was the best song out of that album, and very good video, too. It had where the car, the Ford Coupe, turns into a spaceship at one point, and that actually happened on stage. The stage was built as a car, has the headlights and everything, and near the end of the concert, you hardly notice it, but all of a sudden it's a dashboard to a spaceship, and their stage shows were just hard to match. Recycler came out in 1990, and really the standouts to that were My Head's in Mississippi, Burger Man, and Double Back. Now, on this tour, and I'm not giving away spoilers because there's really not much footage of these concerts. You're not going to, if you find it great, I couldn't.
You're a big fat phony!
Show, they had a huge setup on stage where they have a recycling plant, and there's stuff moving through and going through big box machines and through the whole concert. And then at the end of the concert, a light falls down on the stage, and then another light. Then all of a sudden, one of the spotlight operators falls down on the stage, and and then you realize it's all staged and it's not real, and because the band keeps playing and ends the concert as the stage kind of falls apart, and it's just amazing. It was amazing fun. I loved it. There were a few more albums that I'm not going to go into as far as singles and stuff, but Antenna in 1994, Rhythmine in 1996, which is a very good album. I don't think there's really any singles from it, but if you just want to listen to a good bluesy album, it's gritty. Triple X, which was their 30-year anniversary, came out in 1999, and Mescalero in 2003. Now, there was another album called La Futura in 2012, and I know about it because I read about it, not because I've heard it. It's actually one that I could react to, but I mention it because the lead single, and I'm going to read this because I don't know everything. This lead single, "I Got to Get Paid," was a cover of 25 Lighters by Houston hip hop artist DJ DMD. Another track, "Flying High," made its world premiere in space when the then unfinished song was played on board a Soyuz spacecraft during its launch to the International Space Station in June 2011 at the request of the NASA astronaut Mike Fossum, a longtime ZZ's Top fan and friend. So, yeah, it's just throwing that out there. It's not important. They had some live albums, but, there's plenty of live concert videos. I do suggest that you try to find the older stuff, but there are some good newer things that were done. And like I said, now that they have a new bassist, they've done a tour with him. There is video with him as well. As far as any performances I've seen, singles for reactors and that kind of thing, LaGrange Live in 1982 is good. And these, I've checked the video quality on these. So Just Got Paid from Double Down Live Tour 1980. Also, LaGrange is on that. They have singles of both of those. Very good quality. Give Me All Your Lovin' is in Montreux in 2013. Is very good quality. And then there's more live from Gruen Hall, which is very late stuff. And I like their earlier stuff. They had more energy. I mean, I'm old. I don't have the energy I used to have. I'm not blaming them, but the energy on the older concerts is just intoxicating. So the Grand Hall is very artistic. It's not live. It is live as in one take, but there's no audience in the stadium or wherever they shot it. It's very artistic. Looks good. Sounds good. And Tube Snake Boogie at the Astrodome in 2002 was a good recording. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy listening to a little ZZ Top, or a lot of ZZ Top. Ha, 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 ha. Let's get on to Janis Joplin next time. And until then, let the good times roll.